I'm Crisette. I'm one of like senseis here in the dojo. I also like if you have any questions about Holy Paladin, I also happy to help. Today we're doing a bit of like a very like short workshop. I don't want to overload with a lot of information. It's just you have a bit of like overview how the bosses are gonna be. So you have a bit of an idea and a bit how the overlay of the dungeon is. So you're like, okay, I know a bit about it and yeah, have a overview over them. They actually informed some months ago. Here is the dungeon pool. As usual, we have midnight dungeons with the exception of a new dungeon. This season, that is the Altar of Fangs. And then we have the other remaining 4 ones that we didn't get the past season. And from the other expansions, we have 2 from BFA and 1 from Dragonflight. So the King's Rest, Ruby, and Temple. In contrast with other seasons, and these dungeons had been reworked, so that's why I'm going through them, all of them, because the bosses are kind of similar, but they have to rework a bit some of them. So, for example, in Temple there are some changes, and I'm gonna show you a bit with some screenshots, some like GIFs, so you can have an idea how they look like. I think since this is a new dungeon, I decided to start with Altar of Fangs here. And this is a new dungeon. The overlay of the dungeon is that there is a bit of like, not roleplay, but I will say you will have to clear some totems before the first boss. And then you will hop down into the boss area. And this is the first boss, Rav'i. This is a pretty straightforward boss. A lot of like, beware this season, have a lot of poisons. It's very snaky. And this new dungeon is a 3 boss dungeon. And this first boss is, it has certain abilities that, for example, is the Revenue Stomp. It's like, it does a stomp and its spawn is swirless. You cannot see it here because I have not added it. But it looks like brown is swirless in the ground. And then you have, in this boss area, it will have like some piles around the room. And then when it does these stomps, it will appear some corpses in these piles, except in one. The strategy in this boss is that this boss will go to the closest pile that you tank the boss in. So you need to move as a tank the boss closest to the empty pile. So when it does the scavenging ability, it goes to that pile that is empty. The reason for this is that when it does scavenging, it's going to appear this is swirless that you have to soak, otherwise it does a massive AoE, as well as you have to heal the people that soak it because it will do very much a large damage on it. So beware of that as a healer. And usually a tank can go to the nearest one and then take all the other ones that are close by the other DPSers. If you, by mistake, tank it in close to a pile that has like a carcass on it, it will do like a feeding frenzy. So what happens is that all these circles that appears, it will like triplicate. So it will cause a wipe. So if you're a tank, try to tank the boss always close to the empty pile. Otherwise, as a tank, you just have this tank buster that is called Hydra Strike. And then for DPSers, we will get these kind of circles here that you see here on the left image. And that is like random players. And then it will do as well this kind of like circle that you see here that is called Regurgitate. And then it will spawn like 2 lines of like waves. So it's basically you will see it pretty much in very fast, I will say. It doesn't go so fast as you see it in the GIF here, so you can react to it quite quickly. It's just it can be, as you can see, you can get these soaks at the same time. So beware of that. Otherwise, this is just the bosses all the time, rinse and repeat the same mechanics. We go now to the second boss. This one has been the most challenging one so far when we tried it. There are certain abilities that it does. The most challenging one is basically the death rattle, this thing that you see here. It will start casting this, and when it's almost at a time, it's gonna spawn these like threads in players. You will have to run away until you see the vine kind of lights up. You see I'm here, and it's not lighted up, so I have to move away. And then when you run away, it will like snap the vine, and then it will stop. During this time, you take a lot of damage, so try to like take some movement ability and like run away as soon as possible. Otherwise, after that, it will do other abilities. It will do like a burrow ability, charge at a random player. And then after this, it will do like a frontal cone that is very visible that you can just avoid. As well, it will do like another ability once it's a serpent, so it will do like a burrow ability. And then it will spawn these ads that will be fixate on a player. You just have to DPS them down. And if you can CC them, you can as well. Otherwise, this is a rinse and repeat. It's very scripted. So all these abilities will do them always at the same kind of order. So you kind of know which one is going to happen next. For tanks, they will have Tail Scythe, that is a tank buster, which is very like heavy, so be aware of that and use a defensive. And then we have as well for healers something called Synchronized Venom, and it's basically like a lot of like damage for like the party. You don't see it here, but they have it here on the dot here on the frames. But be aware of that as used to use a healing city during that Venom. And this is the last boss. This can get messy, so beware of it. It has certain abilities. Once you engage the boss, it will start this ritual of the Fang. And basically what you have to do is to be between the totem and the boss, so the boss doesn't get the line. You will get up to 10 stacks of ritual venom. The only way you can actually remove this venom is by taking physical damage. The boss has certain abilities that all of them except this ritual does physical damage, which they're like Bone Slicer. That is the line. So after the ritual, it will do this Bone Slicer at a random player, and then it will make like to drop stacks. You only need to soak this line once to remove your stacks, because you will bleed and spawn these paddles that as well inflict damage to you. So if you can actually like do some sort of tactic, like only like some people take the first line, and then there is like 2 lines. I think it was up to 3 lines in the dungeon. So you have time to do it and remove your stack. So you don't have all of them to like stack in the same one, because when you receive the Bone Slicer, which is this line, and you bleed out, you take a lot of damage. So be aware of that. And then you keep bleeding out, this is an area that actually like damages you. So if you want to do this tactic, people usually do it in a certain area, and then try to take it maybe 2 and 2 or something like that. So you remove the stacks and you can heal the party up. There is also other abilities that does. He also throws some axes around the room that they just spin around. you can actually see it spawn by this arrow. So you will know that he's gonna spawn this axe swirling around beforehand. And they will just go around. If you, by some, like you didn't get all your stacks off from the bone slicer, you can take damage from these square axes to remove them as well. So they work as well to get off your venom stacks. It is very crucial that you take them before they expire, because I have not seen anybody surviving them. So you have a long time to get them off, but track that venom thing, because if you haven't got rid of the stacks, it's very likely you will die. And then otherwise, you have a small tank buster called Chop Down. That is also physical. Otherwise, in this dungeon, what you need to take care is that there are many like mini bosses. The first area you have to remove some totems to go down with the boss, and then before the snake boss, there is like a lot of like venom casts. And then during the last part of towards the last boss, there is also many ads that like those like spawn mini orbs that you need to take care of, like not DPS them down all at once. But I didn't want to, like, there's a lot of mobs in this dungeon to take care of, but it's something that is, you're gonna get used to it the more runs you do. And now I'm gonna go through Murder Road. This has been challenging a bit. You have the first area that is a bit of role playing. You have to like talk to different like Murder Row snitches around the area. We had a bit of problem in the beginning. You couldn't talk to them all at once in a certain way. So don't be scared or like you think it's back that. It's just how it works with role playing sometimes. But otherwise, the first area has a lot of mobs. That does as well some tank nasty poison debuff. So be aware of that. And then there is a lot of like imps and mana worms that explode and create a lot of like puddles to be take care of. Otherwise, look a bit alike like when you did it in the mythic difficulty in the season. There is something also to take care of here. On the first, Kystia is very like particular boss. They don't share XP. There are two mobs, which is the Nibbles, and then there is Kystia. Kystia has a huge absorb shield, which I will come back after when I go through the... So you start DPSing Nibbles, and once Nibbles is like down, it will cast some destabilized cast on Kystia, which is it will take damage increase, and then this is when you use your DPS CDs, I would say. Then every time she gets her absorb shield like weaker by every time, you go into this destabilize phase until the point that you can just, at some point she has like almost no absorb, so you can just DPS her instead. But as I started, you need to DPS the Nibbles first. During this fight, it will also like those other abilities at the same time. One of them is like she will spawn copies around the area that you have. You can't interrupt them or like use any sort of CC. And this is the mirror images. Then Nibbles cast kind of with two abilities, and is the Fell Spray that you can see here. That is this front cone that it goes spinning like half 180 degrees, probably not longer than that, and you just have to dodge. And at the same time, Kystia does this massive circle in the ground that is called the Fell Nova. As well, you have to take care of this corroding spittle dispel. It's a dot that is, if you don't dispel, you're gonna have a hard time healing the target, especially during this destabilize phase that you have to DPS. You will have to cover your healing cities because it will pulse very big AoE damage during this phase. So the healer have to commit healing cities for when is this damage phase. The damage is very, very like high, I would say. I don't know if they're gonna like tone it down, but at the moment it's very like you really need to have a city that you're gonna struggle a lot. So be aware of that also for defensives, for DPSers, a part of like using your DPS cities. Otherwise, outside of the burning phase, is quite okay. Damage intake wise for a healer, just to take care of the dispel. And there is not much else about this fight. From this fight, from this boss to the second boss, there is gonna be this clocking RP that you have to do, like do as being like serve people, be cleaning, and as well like bouncer, be a bouncer. It's a 1 minute RP, so be aware of that. There is a fixed time for that. Otherwise, there is not much else between this boss and the second boss. The second boss, though, it has some new things that probably people are not aware. It has this killing spree, and this is like he start like just spinning around with his gun and stuff, and it does AoE damage. It doesn't anything else. It just stands there around and just spin and then do this damage, AoE damage. So it's very high tech damage. So I will use my healing cities there. It does normally this at the start of the fight, and then after this murder in a row. So it's very like, you know when it's gonna happen. It's always at the start of the fight, and then after this mechanic, you will have this killing spree. Otherwise, it will spawn barrels in the room, and 2 of them will be poisonous. So you want to get rid of the poisons barrels, because they have all of them a timer as well. What it does, the poisonous barrel, is like I think we like exploded like dot or something. I do remember, like you don't want to have it. As well, it will always spawn an extra barrel kind of thing. So we will have one ability that is called Firebomb, and it will like target 2 people. Usually it says 1 there, but it's 2, and then you will. It says a venom barrel because you just only need to remove 1 of them. So as you hear here, you use it to get rid of that barrel, and then once you get rid of that barrel, you will have exactly 5 barrels left, which means that when this murder in a row happens, make sure you are behind a barrel, but don't be 2 people behind the same barrel, because it will be, I don't know, any of the 2 will get hit by the ability, which is a big damage to you, as well as it applies like a debuff, like it's a physical debuff. So always make sure that you're not with someone else in the same barrel. Otherwise, it will like, after this happens, it will like do it like this. It will like, all of them will just get removed, and then it will do the killing spree again, and then he will spawn again 6 barrels, and then it will get the firebomb thingy, and it will go and rinse and repeat. And this is Zaen. After this boss, we will take a gate to another part of the murder row, and then there is a lot of mini bosses there. as well, like a lot of like imps and mobs over there. So I would like take care of look of like cast a lot. As well, there will be a lot of like dragging melee, like swirly kind of thing. Otherwise, there is not much else. It's quite short. It's just a little bit of a hole until the next boss. Xathuux is a small green room. It will do a tank buster. That is the Legion Strike, as you can see here down in the corner. It's like a cone. It's very visible, and it will apply a healing reduction for a few seconds. Just be aware of that. It's one of the only tank busters this season that has a healing reduction. It is, I think, by 90%, so be aware of that. You have to commit a tank CD for it, because you won't be able to get healed for a few seconds. Otherwise, after that, we will have a axe toss, and that will be a random player. So I will suggest that if you're aware of it, be aware that you have to go into melee if you're a ranged player. It will spawn an axe, which it will, like, as you can see here, up in the left, up right, it will like target all of the players, and it will take AoE damage. It does a lot of damage, so you will have to swap instantly to the axe, because it will do as well like this Infernal Crush thing, which you don't want to have overlapping with the axe. So it's very important to like have this axe DPS down as soon as possible. This Infernal Crush is kind of new-ish. You have like this air circle around you. You have to spread a bit, and it will do like some damage to you. And then the biggest damage intake you have is by the axe, so I will suggest just be aware of that people are gonna take down a lot. That the Infernal Crush doesn't do so high damage, but in Demonic Rage, that is the first ability that I mean, here is the one that also will spawn this battle here. It will initially do an AoE damage, which is very high as well. Like, I will like be aware of having a defensive there, and then it will like spawn this pile in the ground that the tank have to move the boss away, and as well it will like the boss will take some damage increase there, so be aware that he will take more damage during this phase. Otherwise, that's it. It's rinse and repeat. Just be aware as a tank not to move the boss so fast, otherwise you're gonna put this inferno thing in the ground everywhere, and it does tick a lot. You cannot survive standing on it. And that's pretty much it as a mechanic wise in this boss. From this boss to the last boss is kind of like as well a passage back. It has some infernal thingies that it does a lot of damage. But otherwise it's kind of like alright, like trash wise. And then we go here to the last boss. This one is a bit tricky to understand, but it's fine at it's straightforward. It has this kind of like fingers of the Gul'dan thing, which you will want to like stack. Not loosely stack, I would say. Don't stack on each other because you die. It does damage to you. So, like you see here in the image, I would suggest to basically be close to each other, because they're gonna spawn imps in those circles, and you have to like DPS them down as soon as possible because they keep casting all the time, non-stop. And you don't have interrupt for them, so I I will like AoE them down as soon as possible. At this time, sometimes the Lithiel like leaps away. So yeah, sometimes you're gonna have some downtime on this boss. As a tank, you're gonna have this big infernal guy on the right, which is only fixated on the tank. And it will be the tank job to not have that infernal closely for when the boss Lithiel at some point in the fight is gonna teleport away and do this malefic wave that you see here on the bottom picture. It's like a fell wave, which you cannot... It puts away as well a dot on you if you stand on it, but I haven't really seen someone survive that. It's very like huge damage, and the dot is very, very like almost you die from it. But you have these gates in the boss room that you use. You can also, I have seen people blink, leap, and I think as well the Demon Hunter jump. You can do that to avoid the mechanic. Otherwise, for people like me, that it's a paladin, you have to use the gate. Just so you know, this gate is like a warlock gate. So if you have a warlock gate toy, I think the one that you can buy from the vendor works. So you can get that gateway lock toy thing that and keep binding to action bar, and it actually works. So you don't have, if you don't want to click on the gate or you just want to like be fast about it, you can use that. It works on this gate. Otherwise, this boss has a Chaos Bolt cast that is very important to interrupt, and as well it will summon another ad, and this one is the Furious Bile Fiend that is very important to DPS down as well. This one has a bit of more of a health than the imps, so it's also important to DPS down. And very important as well, now that I mentioned about the gate mechanic thingy, it's very important that you don't put as a tank the Infernal very close, so on the gate. We tried all the time to get that Infernal away. I have not experienced like using the gate with the Infernal on it. I don't dare to do it. As well, beware that the Infernal pulses AoE, and you take more damage by how close you are. So if you are very close to it, you take more damage. So it's very important to try to keep this guy like far away from you, if you can. So as you see here, the Infernal was nowhere very close to it, and you can see he was probably just in this option, he was a bit away because we were going to take the gate. And this is the last boss of the dungeon. The next dungeon that I'm gonna take care here is the Voidscar Arena. This one has been changed a bit. It's a very tricky boss. Very thing to note from the trash things. There is pathways here, and if you go, you start in the arena thingy, and you have either go left or go right. If you go right side, you will encounter a Naga mini-boss, and that one will give you mastery buff for the rest of the dungeon mostly, like it's, I think it's 30 minutes or something like that. And then the left side has a versatility buff. It's like a warrior kind of thing in throwing spear, and it will give you burst stuff. Most of the people go right side because many classes benefit of mastery. It gives, I think, like a 3% flat buff, so mastery. So it's very like desired by many mages and etc. Otherwise, probably encounter the arena bit of some mini bosses before the boss itself. It has the turtle boss, mini boss, and then like some like big ad that charges at the tank that you can charge to a wall, and then overall it's just some mobs. And now I'm gonna go through a bit the first boss. First boss is kind of like simple in a way, but still it can get very messy. Taz'Rah is a boss that I can get very messy, and I think it's gonna be one of the challenging one if for pegs. The reason is because these lines are gonna appear on everybody, and you want to be close together, but still like not overlapping so much each other's lines. As you see, you have an arrow, and it's gonna do this nether dash, which is gonna have like copies, like ethereal copies, that will charge you, and they will appear at the collision of your character. So where I am here, or like here is the arrow, is gonna appear that copy there and stay, and up spawn these circles things as you can see here. So everybody need to be very closely to each other, because these circles are gonna stay there, and then you have to move away right after. Then it will like do this dark bloom ability, these copies, which is like will like explode kind of thing, and it will like spawn this kind of like, I think, is it like the third boss in Seed? Spawn these balls around, and those one shot. It's not like the one in Seed. So if you get you need to be very aware of it, because you won't be able to survive as a one shot if you get one of those void orbs on you. Otherwise, it's very rinse and repeat the same. The only thing that you have to be careful here is the Void Blast as a tank, because this is a tank buster that applies a knockback. So be aware of that, because where you are positioned, in case of like you are next to these like paddles thingies, or like yeah, basically that. Otherwise, it's the same. The most challenging thing of this boss is basically these lines, and avoid these void orbs, which right now is, it does AoE damage as well when they explode, when they spawn these orbs, so be aware of that. And it does really one-shot you if you by mistake don't see them, or yes, that's one of them. And after this boss, there is a few like trash bosses. I mean trash mini boss, I would say. But I just wanted to go a bit very fast through the dungeons. But just beware about, there is gonna be at least a few like trash mini bosses to take care of it before this next boss. It's a 3-boss dungeon, so most of this gonna be mixed with like mini bosses, and this is gonna be the hardest boss of this dungeon. The reason of this is because it does a lot of abilities that is gonna make it challenging at the same time that is happening other things. So you're gonna have to take care of several things at once. And first one of all, I would say, is the Poison Splash. That is the ability that is gonna spawn like these poison puddles around the room. You don't die or take so much damage if you stand in them, but it will apply a poison debuff on you that ticks like quite hard, and you will require to get this spell. It doesn't expire like a normal debuff. This fight has as well overlapping abilities that, for example, when it does the monstrous roar, it will do this monstrous roar, and it will spawn a toxic creeper ad, which it will pose AoE damage when this ad is alive. So it's very important to DPS it down. This ad always fixates on the tank and only the tank, so don't worry about it as a DPS. The tank will know that it's only on the tank, so just be aware of that as a tank as well, that it will go on you as fixate is pretty much like normal. Otherwise, this ad will like pose a lot of AoE, which is very important to DPS down because it will do. This boss has an AoE ability called Monstrous Stomp, which it does like a lot of damage. And what happens is that when the Toxic Creeper AoE plus the Monstrous Stomp is overlapping, it's very likely that somebody dies. So if you have very big healing cities to try to top the people before that happens, if in the case that the ad is still up. Otherwise, I will like try to avoid to have the creeper alive before this AoE happens. It's very important. The ad doesn't have like that big of a health pool, I will say. So you have like, you can like, if all of the DPSers like burn it down, you're gonna have like pretty much a healthy time to do it before the stomp. Not only you have this AoE thingy happening, but as well this frontal cone called Noxorious Breath. It will happen very often and will overlap with the other things that you see here. It will overlap with the creeper as well as the poisons puddles. So be aware of that. As a ranged DPS, be careful with this because it's a frontal cone that expands in a triangle form. So if you are like far away from the boss, you're very likely to get hit by it, and you are basically, it's a one shot mostly. You don't survive it. So try not to be very far away from the boss because this is like the random player and it's a frontal cone. So be careful for that. Otherwise, for the tank is a Hulking Claw, and it's just a normal tank buster. It's not like very high, I will say. It's not something that chunks your health so much. So, but I will just use something because this will overlap at the same time with the other abilities. So the healer will be pretty much busy. Because this is like one of these bosses that have rot fight, like a lot of like AoE damage coming all the time, especially with the ad up. So the healer is gonna be pretty much busy during this boss mechanics, I would say. So it's good to use your tank CDs in this ability. After this boss, there is just a small area before the last boss. Percentage, they nerf a bit the percentage of ads, mobs around there, but just be careful there. It's very easy to pull a lot of mobs, and it can be very dangerous because they are very close to each other. It's like a small area with a lot of like mobs. Otherwise, they don't have anything special apart like there is some ad that eats other ads around and heal themselves. So be careful with that. But it's otherwise it's pretty much straightforward. The other trash mobs, I would say, and not like very dangerous. This is it's gonna take like a lot of that area to like make up for the percentage. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, we go to the last boss now. This boss is challenging for many casters. The reason for this is that it's gonna do this unstable singularity. So he's gonna spawn these 3 big void circles around the boss. And this will do AoE damage, which is a rot fight as well for healers. It's very tough. And this void paddles also will drag you in all the time. So it will do like a bit of a pull mechanic, like they want to suck you in. Just be careful with that, because you're gonna need these 3 void paddles for what is called the gravity orbs, as you can see here on the left. It is always on DPS players. Tanks and healers will not get this unless, a DPS dies, then you will get it. If a DPS dies, it's very likely to a healer get it, and then a tank, but it's not like in that order. Otherwise, if everybody's alive, it's always on a DPS player. The change with this is that on this boss, it's very important to like a DPS to be close to one. So once the orb goes in, this void thing will disappear, and you only can have one. Therefore, because it disappeared, the void thing. And be careful with it, because it does, people that fail the mechanic tend to like die right after. So it's very important to like spread as a DPS, like I go to this side and then I get this void paddle, so it's like you do the mechanic there, so you avoid like overlapping, going to the same place. Otherwise, there is gonna be other mechanic as well. That is this cosmic crash thing, and that is on everybody. And it's just a spread mechanic. Like you can see, we will get like a circle around you thingy. Just spread. Beware that this will happen at the same time these void masks are up, so you're gonna fight a bit gravity a bit, because when these void masses are up, they are constantly dragging you in, so it's a bit of annoying for anybody that casts. Otherwise, when you had done the orb mechanic and it goes into this void mask, they will disappear for a few seconds, and that's when you see the room very clean on the top right, and then it will do this void cascade thing. And this is the mechanic that most people will fail, and the one that the most challenging one a bit at first, because some people thought that it was just like a cone thingy that you can just run away. This will cast several orbs at a random player, and these orbs follow in where you move, you see? So it follows you a bit around. It's not something that you can just move a bit and stand still. So I would like suggest to keep moving until the cast is over, because you see it has a cast kind of thing. Do not stand still after just moving a bit. Just move until it's over, because the orb kind of like follow you, and if it hits you, it's kind of like a one shot. You kind of die. Otherwise, the tank has a tank buster that is called Dark Waves, and it's a cone as well. It's very important that people are not closed or like in the cone, because they cannot survive it basically. So they just away from the group, and people just stand behind basically. And this is just it. So it's just these void masses, gravity orbs to get rid of them with the dark mass thing, and then we have the most important, the cascade one that targets a player. I'm going through the King's Rest. It's one of the returning dungeons. The trans mobs are basically the same, so it's nothing like particularly new about them. It's just they have increased or like better quality, like mechanics, visuals. You will see them like, oh wow, you can see now these cones, but basically the trash mobs are particularly the same. They have like these void golems, these golems at the beginning, and then there are some like void ads to be careful because they fear if they touch you, kind of thing. And then you will come to this first boss that is the Serpent. The Serpent has been changed a bit. The Golden Serpent has this gold thing that target 2 players, that you can see here. The tactic usually is to go a bit far away, close to each other, and drop it. You will drop like a big puddle of gold. During this, they made that you take a lot of damage, so you basically need to be careful and heal a lot these players that have it, because they tick down a lot. You can stack the thing is, the paddles, it doesn't like one-shot you or anything, it's just the dot itself of the, before you drop it, that actually hurts, but you can stack them if you want. It does not like one-shot you or anything, so you can stack on top of each other and drop it. It's quite fine. The reason for this is because these paddles will later spawn these golden ads that you can see here, and you want to have them very far away, and it's what is called Lucre's Call. It will animate this gold that will want to go towards the Serpent. You can CC them as well, but it's very important to DPS them down before the boss. There is something new on this boss that is gonna do, like eventually in the boss fight, and it's called this Serpentine's Gust. So it will stand like in here, like in the middle. It's like stationary, and it will just like flip AoE around. It's very important to use a healing CD on this, because people will take a lot of damage during this Serpentine Gust. Otherwise, there is something called Taz'Rah, and it's a tank buster that it inflicts physical damage. It's not like that big, I would say. It's not like those kind of... There's some tank busters that actually tanks your tank, like guts a lot. But this one was quite okay. Otherwise, the most dangerous part of this boss is actually the Gust AoE, so I will be very careful in that. There is the trash mobs as well. Between this boss and the next boss is kind of the same. This is this mini boss room with these mini bosses is kind of all of the same. Otherwise, we come here. They have done a bit this fight, I would say. It looks a bit kind of the same. It does this Mchimba Embalmer, this drain fluid at the random player, and it will like apply a debuff. It will tick down. So as a healer, you have to take care of healing them above 90%, and then the debuff will disappear. You have this Burn Corruption that you can see the swirly on a player. It will spawn this fire puddle in the ground, so it's very important to run away and place them on edges, so you have room. Otherwise, it will you will have as well some mummy ads that you have to DPS down in the boss fight, and as well you can see it will spawn these swirlies around, so be careful about them. And these mummies are awakened by this Awakening Slam, which is gonna be as well AoE damage for the party. Otherwise, it doesn't have so much AoE like damage as a healer. It's not a healer fight, I will say. It's just the drain fluid debuff. Otherwise, there is another ability that is the in-tomb player. It will place them in a tomb that is around spreading the room. Pink ping works. Otherwise, you will have an extra action bar to make this coffin to like shake. But you can also ping. So just so you guys know, ping works and is way faster, I guess, for people to see it. The strat that the people use was to ping them the coffin. So yeah, people just run to it. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Not very hard on tank, I would say. Nothing special. And mostly it's just players have to like place this big burn corruption away. And that's it. A pretty simple boss fight. This is, yeah. It's very smart with the ping system for finding your friend as soon as possible. Otherwise, as I said, trust mobs are pretty much the same. They just, made, for example, this part, like from this boss to the other boss, they made the mobs a bit nerfed. They don't heal as much. It's much calmer to like do. So it's gonna be easier than if you remember from BFA. It's gonna be easier. Otherwise, we go to the next boss. The next boss is the Council of Tribes. There are like three mobs that comes at a time, and then they come all of the same time. They have different abilities. The first one that is gonna appear is this one with the axes around. She does this big circle. This circle is the one that spawned this axis around. There is gonna be this barrel through mechanic, which I wanted to screenshot this because there is gonna be this overlap of spawning. This swirly axis we're going in circles around this. So you need to be careful to not just touch them. But as well, there is this soak mechanic called barrel through, which you will have to place it somewhere safe, and people will have to soak it with you. You can also use an immunity or like Bob as a paladin works. Otherwise, Invis also Mel works, but yeah, don't count on it. Otherwise, you all have to soak this because the damage is split with the number of players in the soak. So if you are alone, you die. Otherwise, there is something called debilitating backhand that is very important for tanks. Sometimes they will have to run away because apply like a damage taken by 200 for a few seconds. So you will have to like run away because otherwise it kind of like you see you drop dead if you haven't paid attention. It's very important as a tank to look at this debuff thing because it's not only the tank buster for you, but it's like you kind of like get gutted down by this since you take increased damage. So it's just kite away. Otherwise, there is gonna be also the third council boss. It's gonna spawn totems around the room, 3 totems in total. And you just have to DPS it down because it's gonna do abilities like spawn swirlies and damage your party. So you have to DPS them as soon as possible as well. Just think about all these abilities starting to happen all at once. So you need to be careful with the tank buster, the soaking ability, and the axis. At the same time, you have to like DPS the totem. So this fight can get a bit hectic, but otherwise they have nerfed a bit how they happens, the overlaps. So it's gonna be a bit still slower than it was before. Otherwise, yeah, beware it's gonna happen at some point, all very close to each other. From this boss to the last boss, there is not much trash, I would say. This is just one mini art, I would say. And then you will be the last boss. This boss has been reworked a lot in comparison to how it was before, I think. It look a bit different. We have the hunting leap, that it does like a tank buster with a frontal, so don't stand in front as a DPS player because it actually like kills you. Many times we had this, like we didn't pay attention and then we just got gotten down as a DPSer. Sometimes it happens between this movement mechanic, so just beware. I will avoid to be in front of the boss as a melee player. Otherwise, there is also another tank buster that it does this. That is the Savage Maul, that is the normal one. And this is like a bleed as well to you for a few seconds, and then it also reduces your armor. Apart of that, there is this Gilded Destruction, that is a AoE fire hit. And then applies like a 15-second dot. And then we have this also Quacking Leap. As you can see here, players will get this visual that they're gonna get leaped. I will like just spread. It's a bit weird because the room is gonna appear spears down from the ceiling. So just beware, this is weird little means that they're gonna hang down and come down some spears from the ceiling. So I will just be on the safe spots all the time. And then there is some part of the boss fight that there is certain part of the room that is just full covered with spears, but there is a safe zone right in like a few like ahead. So you have to have like a movement ability to like run as fast as possible away from it, because it goes the spears are gonna come down like a few like seconds after. So prioritize to move away, and then don't be in front of the boss because it's gonna do this leap thing usually as well during this movement. So avoid as well to be in front. Otherwise, it's rinse and repeat the same all over. Let's just be always on safe zones and then avoid to be in front of the boss. And as a tank, beware the tank buster that you get is a bleed. And then this is the Blinding Vale. It's one of the Midnight new ones. It has a Voidscar Arena. You can go left and right. The left one have like a small thingy that I think some paladins and then priest, I think, healer can interact with it. And it gives your party movement, speed, and haste. And then on the right side, you get like a small pet that gives damage to you, but these abilities is only for like a few minutes. So I haven't seen many. We just did it for experimenting, but I don't know how it's gonna play in keys. So unclear with that. Otherwise, mobs are very easy to. There is a lot of packs closing to each other. Be careful in this dungeon. Many of them apply as well debuffs and poisons, and as well like spawning flowers around. So very careful there. It's a dungeon that is very easy to ninja pull mobs, but don't be like, just beware a bit around. There is a lot of like closely packs around. Otherwise, not so casty or weird in a way. The Trasmos are quite like okay overall. This is a 3 boss fight. This boss, the Trinity boss, share health. The 3 of the bosses, they are not individual pulls, all of them share health. Each one of them have different abilities. One of them will be targeting a player away. You see the circle, and it will teleport and then apply this thorn blade thing. So if you get targeted with it, just run away. And then, so I think you can kind of die from it, I never like experimented yet. Everybody kind of move away right away. So I would suggest to move away as soon as possible. It will spawn 3 flowers. So there is gonna be as well during this, before when they spawn this flower, is gonna be something called Light Sower Dash as well. So one of the bosses, like here on the right, is gonna do like a line, and it will like dash in that direction of the light thing. As a player, I will just completely not be in the path of that. I think we like avoid it completely. I think it kind of like almost one-shot you if you are in the way. So it's very likely you die if you are in that line. So I would suggest to just avoid it completely. And then there is something called Lightblossom Beam, which is basically, it's gonna try to empower those 3 flowers. So what you do is having 3 players standing one on each, so you don't get this flower empower, because it's gonna do like a huge area of denial there. So you want to avoid that because the boss room is not big as well. So you just stand in it until the cast is done, and then it will just spawn, like it will just disappear the flower, and it will be like just some thing in the ground, and then you just move away. So when that happens, the line thingy, the Lightblossom Beam, you just stand on the flower to avoid to get it empowered. Otherwise, there is this Bedrock Slam, that is the tank buster thing. And then that's pretty much it, I would say. Is the Thunderland was something else. It's not much else, I would say, from this boss fight that is pretty much important to know. And then we have here the Ikuzz, the Light Hunter. It's like a Scepter. It will do these Bloodthorn roots in everybody. And it's a root that you can DPS down. You can also use movement that remove roots abilities like Freedom. Some people, I think, other abilities as well worked. Otherwise, I would suggest to stack together so you can DPS down these roots so you can get freed. So as you can see here on the top right is that. Otherwise, at some point as well during the fight, it's gonna do something called Thorn Color Roar, especially in the beginning. This will spawn all the thorns in the ground. Just try to avoid them. It will root you every time, and then if you don't have anything to free them yourself, you will have to DPS the root down. There is also something called the Verdant Stomp. That is a AoE on all the players, and it does as well a knockback. So be careful not to be close to a thorn thing, otherwise you're gonna get as well rooted. As well, it's gonna do a lot of AoE, so you're gonna have to heal or like defensive there. Otherwise, there is not much damage apart of that. And the only thing noticeable in this fight is the Bloodthirsty Gaze. It's a random player, but most of the times that we had this was a caster player kind of thing, but it can change. So, but basically we'll do just fixate on a player and runs towards you. So as well, as you can see, the boss has this circle around. So anywhere that this raptor goes, it will remove the roots around. So if you want to like get rid of like the thorns in the room, you can use it at your advantage as well. Otherwise, as a player, if you're fixated, you just run away. You don't take damage or anything during this, so it's just run away basically. And pretty much is it, this boss. And then we go to the third boss, which is a druid boss. It will do, it will like shapeshift into all the like druid forms, I would say. It will do, depending of what form they are, abilities according to that. There is, as the pumpkin form, you will have these tornadoes ability that it will upon, you see, 3 players will be targeted with this. They fix it, you cannot stack on each other, so you will have to spread and try to not all this, you see, is like a star splinter that will spawn tornadoes, so be careful with that. And you will like get some damage as well, so be careful with that. And there is also another ability that is called Lightfall, and this will be all these swirlies in the ground as well. Then when it goes in like bird form, it will do these pulverizing strikes, which it will aim at players, but one at a time in a cone frontal, and it will apply like a debuff that you cannot take it twice, I will say. So don't stack, you have to be loosely spread, because you take damage increased by it, like it applies like a physical debuff. So if you take it a second time from another player, you almost insta die from it. I took it by mistake because I was closely to somebody and I almost died from it. So I will suggest to basically avoid it. Otherwise it will target the random players in a cone, so we just loosely spread around the boss. Otherwise, the boss as well will do something called Grievous Thrash that will put an AoE damage on all the players as well. It will do a bleed that you can heal above a certain health pool, and then it will get like removed basically. So you just have to heal players off, and then it gets removed. Otherwise, it's a rinse and repeat. At the beginning, it's kind of slowly, but then at some point in the boss fight, it's gonna happen all at once. So I will, as a player, be close to the boss, and just be careful, especially with this pulverizing strike ability. Otherwise, we come to the last boss, Ziekket. At the beginning, this can be challenging a bit, but otherwise it's kind of like, what is it called? The first boss in Academy, the 3 boss. So it will spawn these ads called Awaken the Lightbloom that you have to DPS down. And then when you DPS them down, so it's a bit of an inverted 3 boss in Academy, which it will like, you have to DPS them, and then when you DPS them down, they become these dormant ads that just stand in here, like you see here in the picture here down. So firstly, you will cast it almost instantly when you pull the boss this, DPS down the ads, and then it will come at the same, when you are almost done with the ads, will come these Lightbloom essences, which are these little orbs around. As a player, it's a DPS increase to get these orbs, but also beware that these orbs apply a huge dot. That, for example, I think somebody took like over almost like 4 and died because it's so much damage you take from the orb. So I would suggest taking 2, something like that. If you can, 3. And then it will give you a DPS increase buff, but also it is a dot, so you will like tick down a lot. Beware as a healer to heal this a lot, like just focusing on those DPSers. And as well, the tank will take basically 2 as well, because I think there are several orbs, so not all the DPSers can soak them all. So beware as a tank to like take 1 or 2. And be careful, because it absolutely like damage a lot this dot. So if you have like the Thorn Spike, that is the tank buster after, beware to use a big defensive, because you can die. It's very strong, this dot, so be aware of that. Otherwise, you basically use your CDs with that. I will say with the orb, it does like increase damage, so it's huge for DPSers. Otherwise, apart of this, there is something called Concentrated Light Beam. Is this line here, and the boss will shoot this big light beam. It's always on the tank, so beware of as a tank of that to be close to the ads, because as previously, these ads become dormant when you DPS them down, but they are still alive. So you want to melt them down with this beam, and then it will cause this like puddle in the ground once they are like melted down. Just be careful as a DPS. The beam basically kills you, so don't be close to your tank when this happens. And never, never. I will say that, but avoid. Do not miss the ads, because it's that's what is the mechanic for, to melt down the dormant lashers there. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. The most dangerous part of this boss are the orbs, because they cannot reach the boss. If it reaches the boss, it kills people. It does like this huge AoE damage and just kills people. And manage how many orbs you soak, basically, because it will like basically apply this huge dot on you that you will have to take care of it, and healer need to like use healing CDs for. Otherwise, the Thorn Spike is not that dangerous. It just applies a little bleed, and that's it. Now we come here to Nalorakk, and I think this is one of the people we're most afraid of, I think. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say fortunately, it has RP, especially in the start of the dungeon. There are some offerings you have to pick up by fishing, boosts and stuff. So that part of the dungeon is still there. So it just, people figure out a route around it. Most of the routes will avoid this hunger spirit, because it will do this AoE healing reduction or like health pool reduction curse, which you don't want to have. So most of the routes that you will see are to avoid those mobs. Otherwise, the other mobs are quite of like are right in the start of the dungeon. It's just the whole RP of the offerings that might take a little, but otherwise it's pretty much alright. We will have the first boss. There's little altar of offerings around the room that will go depending on the health pool of the boss. So a 90 will go towards one, and then on 70%, and then on 40, and it will go get some empowering abilities. These abilities that you see here will get empowered depending the altar that it goes. The first one that it does is this cone here that you see, that is the Earth Shatter Slam. So it will jump in the middle of the room, and then it will do this cone towards one direction. Avoid it at all cost. Run away from it. Don't stand in it. And as well, this cone will spawn spikes around it. In that cone, it's kind of like annoying to like walk around, especially because there is gonna be an ability called Spoiled Supplies, which is spawning like these green circles around the boss room, which you will have to soak, and it applies a poison. So be aware of that. Either like commit 2 players to run around that are a dwarf that can dispel themselves, or like have the healer, okay, I dispel you here, and then the other person use a defensive, and I dispel you after. But it applies a poison once you soak this, and the reason for this is because it's gonna spawn a mushroom that it will explode. And if you don't do that, soak this mushroom will explode and do this AoE damage, and will apply this poison to everybody per thing, per mushroom, per soak. So this poison is very, very dangerous. So it's very important to commit and soak the circles. Otherwise, if you have a few left and they blow up, the whole party dies. So it's very important to commit to soak these circles and then dispel, because if you soak too many and you don't have a defensive or a dispeller to do this, you will tick down a lot. So be able, like as a healer, beware if you cannot dispel it, if you don't have a poison dispel, to heal these people almost constantly, because they tick down a lot. The poison is very, very strong. Be careful with that. Otherwise, there is something called this Ravenous Bellow thing, and it's just a AoE with a dot. And when it's empowered by this, altar thing, it will do a knockback as well. This AoE is very strong, so that's why it's very important, for example, that you soak all these green puddles, because if people are having poisons going out, or like, this thing is gonna happen, this bellow as well, right shortly after. I will like prioritize dispelling as well the poison a lot, and this AoE is very like strong as well. This is the healing CD for you. As a healer, this is where everybody in the party can drop like half their health here, because it's not only an AoE, but it also applies like a dot kind of thing. So people will not only take huge like AoE damage from this, but they will like tick down a bit, and they drop very, very low sometimes. It was very scary to heal this. So this is where most healers will have to be prepared for this. Otherwise, it's quite fine. Like, tank felt very healthy here. Even helped with the soaks of these mushrooms. It's not very like tank heavy boss. It's just dodge the cone thingy, and that's it, basically. The second boss in Den, it's kind of tricky. It can be very like tedious. For packs, I think this is gonna be a bit like challenging, I would say. The reason is because there is the Raging Squall. This is like spawn on everybody, as you can see here on the top right. There are circles around, and these circles will spawn tornadoes that will be circling around there for a bit in that room. So it's very important to be close to each other and drop them there, so you can move to the other part of the boss fight. Be mindful, this boss fight is very annoying, but it's because of the fact that you are walking on ice. So you are slippery, you like glide a bit, slide to the sides. It's very annoying because it's like, like walking on ice, basically. Other than that, you have like a debuff that healers have to dispel, the Glacial Torment, always on 2 players. It does a lot of damage dispel immediately if you can, and then heal the other person until you can dispel them. They tick down a lot. There is no other thing that people take damage from in this fight when those debuffs are up, so I will just completely prioritize those 2 players. Otherwise, at some part of the boss fight, closely to the boss, it will spawn 2 ads. Here, Fracture Receiver Core here, that you see here. Your job is to, like, as a DPS or DPS them and interrupt them down. And then once this ad dies, he will spawn, like, a small pile of, like, snow. As you can see here, very bright. And as well as circle here. Anybody can soak that. I soaked it, for example, there. It doesn't no damage, but you have to soak it 1 person, at least. And since there is 2 ads, I usually have soaked the first one because I'm a healer and I just let the others take care of the other ad, while I soak this. And then on the second ad, it's very important to be closely because right after the second ad dies, it will do the same thing as the other ad. Be close to the pile of snow because right after this ad dies, it will do this Frozen Tempest, this boss. So basically, it will make a small circle and then all this snow thing outside. You cannot survive to be in this area outside of the safe zone. Plus, this Tempest will push you away. So the tactic here is to stand in this pile of snow that the ad spawned, because you stand still, you don't get pushed back in this snow circle. So it's very like important as a player, like when this thing is start to happen, to be on the snow circle. It doesn't do so much damage at all. It's you take down like a little bit. You can see here, I'm just merely healing them. And it's very good for a caster as well as anybody. As well, be careful here. For example, and like it happens right away, the ad dies. So you can see here the tank was soaking the circle as soon as possible, and then the other players were already in the snow. Otherwise, it's rinse and repeat. Then after this Frozen Tempest ends, it will do this Raging Squall thing. It will spawn the tornadoes again, and then it will repeat all the time like this. Then we go here to the last boss here. Nalorakk. Nalorakk is this that you have Zul'jan here as an ally with you in this boss. And firstly, it will target 3 players with these circles. Echo them all. And you want to move them in the edges of the room. It will spawn these little ghosts that are in a green color. And right after this, it will do this overwhelming onslaught that is here on the top right. You have to stand behind Zul'jan to take cover because it will do a huge, it's like a thrash, like a bear thrash. It will do like a huge AoE front cone thing. But if you stand behind Zul'jan shield, you are pretty much safe. You will just do a bit of AoE damage, and also it will knock you away a bit after this cast is over. After this cast is over, it's like almost right after it will do this forceful slam thing, and it's a huge tank soak there. I had soak it for experiment and I died. So this is basically a tank soak. Do not soak it as a DPS or a healer. It's mainly for tanks, and you just don't be there. Like, you cannot double soak. If your tank is there and you're there, you're gonna die. So just let the tank soak it. And it pretty much didn't do so much damage to the tank, so it's very safe for a tank. Do not have to commit a huge CD just a bit. I think it it didn't take so much of the tank's health, I would say. Otherwise, it's Risa repeat like twice like this, and then I think on the third time it will be this Fury of the War God ability. Zul'jan will just move in the center of the room, as you can see on the top, on the bottom right here. You have to protect Zul'jan because all the copies that you have placed with your like circles around the room will enrage and will turn like red and will charge towards Zul'jan. And you can see she can die from it, and you're basically like you have Zul'jan don't have the main like as well is like to keep her safe as well. So you have to stand between the charging bear thing and the boss. You can take as a DPS or healer like a couple or 3. It's not like such a huge damage, I would say, if you use a defensive. But it's very important to not let it reach Zul'jan, because then we die. And then it will like reset the boss again, like mechanic-wise the same all over again, and then people will have to drop again the copies, and then it's repeat the fight. And this is Temple now from BFA. This dungeon has the most changes from the old ones, I would say. Trust mobs are the same, except towards the Serpent second boss has been changed, the trust mobs there. Now the mobs in the first area is kind of the same. And now we go to the first boss. This is a dual boss, which has independent health. They do not share health. And basically works the same as in before. One of them comes kind of immune to taking damage, but the other one becomes active. And then you can DPS it down. Each one has different abilities. Aspects here, that you can see here on the left. It has this Coil Gale Force. Now with a new, had been reworked from BFA. And which basically will spawn a line on players with a very huge knockback. Like the knockback of this, as you can see in here on the GIF. I wanted to do it because the knockback is very like strong. Be careful if you have skip trust mobs around the boss room. You can ninja pull them if you get knockback like this. It has happened already. I would suggest clear the whole boss room of the trust mobs. But yeah, the knockback is very huge. I think about it because shortly after, in a few seconds right after, it's like you see here in the GIF, there is coming another ability that is this Thunder and Lightning one. This is one that you have to like stack all together because otherwise the person kind of like dies from it. It's those kind of abilities that the more players, the less damage people take from it. As well, afterwards, this hits, it will spawn this huge area like this blue thingy. So you have to stack and immediately run away from it. Otherwise, the other boss does this Tempest Winds on a few players, as you see here, the circles here on the bottom right here. These ones will spawn this paddle thing, that is this, it will silence you for a few seconds if you stand in it, as well. It's like a dot kind of thing. So when you're dropping this, use a defensive. It's the only like place that you are basically in danger. And yeah, we had different tactics. Some people like do those like circles in the edges, but then we figured out that this Gale Force knockback was better to position it against a wall. So we try to like, probably some people did the tactic to put these circles in the middle of the room. So you have the wall free for this knockback line ability. So you don't get pushed away into one of these like mini tornado puddle. Otherwise, it's the same as BFA. You have to DPS one at a time. And then, yeah, once one dies, they stop having those abilities kind of thing. So it's just kind of the same in that way. Otherwise, it's, independent health pool. You have to kill them one by one, I will say. And that's it. And the abilities are all this. Rinse and repeat all the time. The most important thing that impacted this was this knockback, I would say, because it comes right after with this soak ability that everybody has to be and then move away, so you're gonna commit a lot of movement here. Yes, so beware about it. Merekta is the second boss and is a snake boss with new abilities in comparison to the old BFA one. One of them is gonna be the Noto Snakes, that it will target random players, usually 2. Stacking melee, any CC stun thing works to get free of it. And it will spawn snakes. Once you like get free of it, you get it spawns some snakes. As a player, if you don't do it like any CC on them, you're gonna get stunned and until people DPS them down. Otherwise, yeah, if you are in range, get to melee, so it's easier to get freed. Usually, like, many like AoE, CC kind of thing works, so it's pretty easy to get rid of. Otherwise, the boss is gonna have something called Thunder Spit, and it will target 2 players. This is this image here in the middle, kind of center. It will target 2 people and you spawn like a blue swirly thingy under them, follow like a swirly, and then it will spawn these puddles. So I will like not be in the middle of the room when that happens, because then you spawn these poo-poo puddles everywhere. Otherwise, after that is gonna come this Serpent Storm thing, that is a AoE. And then it will spawn as well swirlies in the ground that you have to avoid. And then at some point, she will go into burrow. It will go down in the ground, and she will burrow around the room. And some like snakes will appear, which you have to interrupt, because apply like a venom poison thing. And as well, during this phase, be careful, because the Merekta will be burrowed but circling around the boss room. And what will happen is that if you like, she goes into a circle and then it will charge towards a player, and then it can one-shot you. So be careful, beware of it. It goes very fast. So don't underestimate how fast it goes. It goes very fast. I died like 4 or 5 times to this. So yeah, be careful with that. It one-shots once it's burrow and charges towards somebody. Otherwise, you have to DPS the ads down, and then she will come up after you DPS the snakes. And then she will do all of this on repeat. The second boss was very simple. in the case of is kind of the same as in BFA. The only thing that does like AoE pulsing at some point after the spikes disappear, and then it will do this AoE damage, and then it will leave a puddle in the ground. So as a tank, you will tank the boss in the edges of the room, because it will spawn these puddle in the ground that you have to move away. And then you will have these pillars that will spawn, 3 pillars always, for a few seconds. And then what you have to do is basically stand in front of it to avoid to get the boss empowered. And then you will have to commit defensive and a heal city here, because it's a lot of damage taken from this. So yeah, it's basically, I will not recommend a tank to soak this, by the way. It's always DPS or healer, because the tank will take tank buster and stuff, so I will not recommend this soaking the pillar as a tank here. And then we come to the last boss. This boss has been reworked a lot. It's no longer a healer fight, in the sense of before you had like a healing phase. It's not of the same thing anymore, I will say. They have changed some things. Now we have these guardian serpents. They will die, and then your job is to DPS them as soon as possible. These guardians serpents, they will, once they die, they will do this huge area in the ground, and then it will spawn these orbs, this corrupted life force. It spawned 2 of them, but be careful, because it does AoE damage, applies like a huge like dot thing, and it has some seconds as well. So first of foremost, you need to soak them as soon as possible, but don't soak 2 of them at once, because people die. So the strategy is soak 1 and then just a few seconds after the other one. Every time you soak this, it heals the boss certain percentage, so it's very important to do this. Whoever soak this orb gets a healing reduction for a few seconds. So 1. It's mainly DPSers doing this, or like some tank that can do it. Never the healer, because sorry, the dot is not a healer taken, it's a healing done decreased by certain percent, this debuff. So if you have blood decay, don't take it. And if healers, don't take this thing as well, because it's this debuff makes that you heal less, kind of thing. Yeah. As a DPS job is to soak it, and it will heal the boss. There is some puddles in the ground as well, that is this area that will target a player, which is the latent hex. And you just a player just go into the edge of the room, basically, and place it there. You will get hex for a bit, but you just have to run away of the puddle, kind of thing. You can move, and then the hex removes. It's just only if you stand on the puddle thing that hex you. There is a mini healing phase. I can heal the boss. It's not immune to healing, but I don't heal the boss like I used to. So this fight is not like a healing fight, I would say. However, I have like some ads that fixates me. As a DPSer, I will focus these ads, because these ads heal the boss as well. So it's very important that I run away. And as a DPSer, that you DPS down these ads, because it heals the boss as well. And it always fixates the healer during this phase, because of the avatar is healable. During the other phase, you cannot heal unless you soak the orb thing. as a healer. So I am mostly healing the group in the first phase, and then on the second phase I try to help with the healing as well. But as a DPSer, you need to DPS the ads because it also heals the avatar thing. So you can it's faster. Also, the change with this fight is that one is healed, this avatar, the fight is over. There is no more. So that is the change of this boss. Soak the orb or to heal the boss, and then during the healing phase, DPS the ads to heal. And then the healer help with the healing the avatar, but you don't heal as I lay on hands the boss, and it merely did 20%, not even that. So imagine that the healer doesn't heal very much the avatar anymore, and then the fight ends as soon as you heal it fully. Is before the avatar will fight as well, come down and stuff, but not anymore. The fight ends like that when you heal it fully, basically. And now we come in with Rav'i. Rav'i is pretty much the same. They nerf how casters are in the dungeon, easier to manage. And then in this first start area, there are some trust moves that apply a dot, basically. In the first boss, basically, very take care of is the Chill Storm is this thing dragging ability as a player move away, because the closer you are, the stronger the dragging is. Then you have this Hell Bursting that everybody will stack, and then it will summon these spikes, ice spikes things in the ground, so it's very important to stack. And then there is the Awaken Whelps thing that it will apply Coil Claws, which is a debuff on the tank, and at certain stacks it will practically stun your tank, so as a healer it's very important to dispel it. As a DPS, it's very important during Frost Overload to DPS down the boss, because it has a shield thingy, and it will cast this Frost Overload AoE until you DPS down this shield. So as a DPS, focus on the whelps, as well the boss shield down. You have to DPS it so it stops casting this Frost Overload. And as a tank, is basically just this free shard, tank buster, and beware you might get stunned because of this debuff thing. Because they apply it quite quickly sometimes, you don't have the dispel, so just beware of that. And pretty much it's the same, just difference from Dragonflight, it does less damage than before. Before it was a very hard boss. It had been toned down a bit, so it's more alright, at least, to heal as a healer. So it's just mainly the main mechanic here is to apply the chill storm a bit far away for players, and that's it. The second boss area has been modified a bit. Casters are more friendly and stuff to do in the Frost mode, so it's not that hard anymore. Still, there are the two mini dragons circling around in certain places, but not that it's used to. Before it was flying in a large area, now it's more stationary, I would say. Harder to, easier to dodge if you want, but yeah, basically that. In the second boss has been modified a bit. You now see where the ball is going. There is this molten boulder targeted at a random player, and it basically is a big ball of fire that will go in a certain direction where the player has been, so you can bait that basically by stacking wherever you want it to hit. It will leave a fire path, so it's very important to not block people or block the way. Otherwise, there is this ritual of blade spinning that is also on a random player, and it basically this circle here on the left that will spawn like a ad that you have to DPS down, and it will do this burnout when is dead. It will explode when it's DPS down, and it will do AoE, and it will make this paddle thing in the ground. So it's good to like be stacked, so you can like choose like where you want these ads to spawn, because it's gonna be after when they die, it's gonna spawn this fire puddle in the ground that it won't go away. So you can, if all together move together, it's kind of like you can place them in a stack area. Otherwise, the blaze volley is something that you have to take care of for interrupting this boss. And it does like a small tank buster on the tank. Before it was in Dragonflame, it will break the tank. Not anymore. It's not that huge anymore. And basically, just be careful, because sometimes when you move away from the ad exploding, it will overlap with this molten fireball aim at a player, so be careful. Otherwise, the only thing that you need to take care as a healer is that this burnout AoE damage. And that's it. The last boss is pretty much the same. Just increased visuals and a bit more like friendly, I would say, in like less damage taken. There is this roaring fire breath. This will be aimed at a random player. And the dragon will do this cone of breath that you can easily see. Before you couldn't see it so much anymore, but now you can see it easier. You will have this Inferno Spit. Is this on the top right? It will target 2 players, or it was like 3, and it will spawn this fire in the ground. So you just place them in a place together and then move away. In the same boss, we will come these winds at some point, and it will come in like a certain directions, and it will blow these fire puddles, so they will move. So you can strategically move the puddles in certain way to like either go to remove them from the room, or like the winds will like blow them away. But just be careful where you place the puddles, because it can, if you place them somewhere like after the winds, it can come towards you, so be careful with that. Otherwise, as a caster, there is something called Interrupts Cloudburst. That is something that interrupts you, so be aware of that. It's a cast that you cannot interrupt, so just be aware that to not be casting is like that mob in Crown of the Cosmos that does a AoE interrupt. Just be aware of it, because it will like interrupt you if you're casting. Otherwise, as a tank, there's something called Storm Slam that applies a debuff on you. As a healer, it's very important to dispel it, to not let overlap. And as a tank, don't be afraid. Beforehand was very strong, this tank buster, but not anymore. Otherwise, this dungeon has been toned down, a bit more friendly overall. The mini boss before this boss still does a lot of like damage, so be aware of it. And otherwise, they had toned down a lot of the casters in this dungeon, so it's less casting as before. So I used to hate this dungeon, and now it's not that bad. So I think very positive about this. Otherwise, that was it. If anybody has any questions, let me know. And I special thanks to Tactics here, because I got many of the stuff from his videos on the PTR we did together, and he has a lot of the guide videos. He has a lot of more in-depth guides of all the dungeons, not only of the bosses, but as well of the trash mobs and route kind of thing. So if you want to like, I want to learn a bit more about the dungeon and going deep, I will strongly recommend it as well. As well as Raider.io has their dungeon guides as well, very in deep as well. So they had been very fast with that. So I would like recommend both Raider.io and Tactics videos for both dungeons. As well, Tactics has started with the raid as well soon, if you are interested to learn a bit of the raid. And yeah, I don't know if somebody has any questions.
We'll give it a few minutes for any sort of questions to come out. Thank you so much, Crisette, by
Thank
the way.
you.
Crisette and Serenity are Serenity is also one of our sensei have been working
I
on.
do think that we will as well post like a small cheat sheet things with abilities. And many people were a bit skeptical about these dungeons, but they have been doing very, very nice rework, I would say. Very friendly. The two dragons, the one that is on the right and left, are the same, but less damage now. So the mini-boss, the one that applies debuffs, that you have to dispel, does a lot of AoE, that one probably will be skipped. But the fire dragon will be basically DPS, taking in the route, because that one is very not so much damage, and it's the one that you need to DPS a certain HP start to like pulsing AoE, but it's fine.
Yeah, those dragons are a whole lot.
The problem with the lightning dragon is that the debuff that it applies, it does a lot of damage, and you cannot dispel both of them because it might kill somebody because it does a huge AoE damage. It is still kind of the same. You don't completely die, but it might kill somebody. Also, I'm gonna show you something that I have here as well. If you're a tank or like a person that would like to learn, by just reading something here. This is open to the public for anybody that wants to like go into the bosses, as well as the guide. Paste. You have it there. Is that in Modern during roleplay area? Yeah. And there is one player that has to clean, one player that has to dance, and then two players that have to serve. And then there is one bouncer. And it's completely random. Yeah. The most annoying one of those is the one that you clean because you have to pick up the broom. Some people forget that you have to pick up the broom in the corner. People think that you can go into the puddles directly, but you have firstly to pick up the broom on the side. Yeah, otherwise you don't clean.
Oh no.
And it might be like, for some people, not be like straightforward, but it's something to mention because I was one of those people that I have to ask, where do I clean? How do I clean this? Main reason is because you don't get the broom automatically. You need to go and click it. Anybody can also, that ability tracking sheet is like for everybody to like be able to read it. And usually he goes into trash mobs here up and then bosses down, basically. I think everybody's gonna go left side. Right side, the problem, it has very nasty trans mobs. It's easier left side. You can pull more mobs, and then you can do bigger pulls. The other ones have very big mobs that are very annoying. For Voidscar Arena, I would say right side, because it has that mini boss, and also the left side with the burst buff is very annoying to kill. Yeah, the left side is mini boss is we had the people dying because the mini boss on the left side, it does like a spear that drags in players that you can. It's like those warrior PvP abilities that you are like stuck. You have to DPS down the spear before you can run away. and it does like an area as well in the ground. It's very annoying to kill. The right side is quite easy to kill, and it gives the mastery. But yeah, I recommend a lot this. It has a lot of like extra info, like if you want to get the deep on it. I think he will soon put like routes as well here. So he will put the string of the route in the future. So it's a very like nice, a very nice, well worked Excel information with all the places and important transmobs. As well, you can see the guides as well. The most that we had there. So the Blinding Vale thing was very easy on time. It's the easiest time-wise. As well as Voidscar Arena, I felt like it was very fast to clear. The one that we failed the most was, I would say, let me go back into the dungeon pool. Cethralis. It's gonna be one of the hardest. The bosses are very harsh, and the transmobs as well. The last boss, it looks easy, but it's chaotic because you need to go around the room, and then the healer gets fixated. You have puddles, and the most important that might wipe you is that orb soak in the last boss. We had died to it, wiped many times. People are when they see a mechanic that they have to soak, tend to soak it too quick and then kill people. Altar of Fangs is gonna be hard, so I will say Temple and Altar. The new dungeon is might be hard for at the beginning. I think in a long time, time wise, yeah. Altar of Fangs is many mechanics in trash, as well casts, and I think poisons. There's mobs that do AoE poisons and frontal cones. As well, the time was very tight. I think the time was very tight. If you wipe in one boss, it's basically over. And we did the dungeon. It was very tight, we couldn't time it. But I don't know if they do some tuning during the season, might be. But yeah, I think Altar time-wise is the most tight on time. The other ones feel okay.
I know they changed the.
I don't know because it's a new dungeon or something, but it felt like the timer was way too short. Yeah, you're muted. I broke something. Oh, okay, don't worry. I'll wait a few seconds. But yeah, it's Altar of Fangs is like Academy, timer wise, if they don't like increase it by some minute or something. You need to do big pulls, and sometimes it's especially the snake area is dangerous. It's a dungeon that if you pull a lot, you need to be careful. There's also that I haven't mentioned. I think I did a bit in the start, but Altar of Fangs mobs, some of them those are blood sacrifice, and that is a huge heal absorb. And then at the same time, there is some like debuff that takes down a lot. And then there is some mini bosses that does like a front cone, and then like some orbs that you need to take care of. I missed the intro. Some people does it. The mobs is the same. The mobs are the same in the King's Rest, the trash mobs. The only that they change in the trash mobs are the visuals, but it's the same, yeah. Those void minions that fear you are there. Not as many though, but they are there.
Crisette, I am always amazed at how well you put these together. Like when we talk about these workshops and the dungeon pool, I'm always like, I see you streaming and practicing these dungeons. Like I'll log into your stream and you're back at it again. So Crisette puts in hours of just research on this, and then works with a couple of other people. One of them is Serenity, one of our other sensei. They're going to be putting together a bunch of stuff in the M+ dungeon info channel, which are like little tiny guides, so that you can, like bite-sized guides, so that you can see each dungeon and you can grab like a video, or you can grab like a 1-page reference sheet or anything like that, so that we have like all of that information broken down. And then also, obviously, we're recording this one, so we'll put the entirety of the video up on YouTube shortly. So, Crisette, I'm always amazed that you put so much work into this, and like I'll ping you for the, hey, you want to do the workshop, and you're like, yeah, absolutely. And then I realize like, oh my gosh, she's been working on this for like weeks. Whoa. So we greatly appreciate all the work you put in for it. It's very informative, very well done, and I know the community absolutely appreciates all of it. So we're gonna wrap up here. Be on the lookout for, we'll post this to YouTube once we have the video. Be on the lookout in the M+ channel for more of those little bite-sized guides. The season starts on Tuesday in the NA, Wednesday in the EU, and there's going to be a lot of learning, it's all zeros. So like we're all back at like that zeros starting area. So we'll have a week of zeros, and then season 2 officially kicks off on August 18th with all of the keys. So it gives you a week to get comfy and do like your world tour, try it on a 0 before you hop into the 2s with, now you have the timer and the affixes coming into play. So yeah. Thank you everybody for coming out. Crisette, thank you again. You're amazing, informative, and we appreciate your work. We will see everybody in season 2. Y'all have a great rest of your day.